Yes?
Just follow that a little bit more, Mike. I went to Colorado, though. As soon as I got west of the states that had ethanol gas, I was getting 100% pure unleaded gas. I went from 12 miles a gallon to 19 miles a gallon. 60% increase in my fuel mileage. Now you got people on limited budgets, elderly, and some folks on part-time. Think of what they're spending extra in gasoline. And the government says, well, it's because of the smog. The smog's not coming from the cars. It's coming from industry. Of course, nobody in Congress wants to piss off business because business says, okay, I got to lay 100 people off to put those extra pollution controls on. So that's always a quagmire to work that out. But if you're trying to help people's pockets, get the alcohol out of the gas. I put special additives in my car to protect my engine from destruction from the alcohol.
Some of them don't work.
Mike, is it unfair to say that ethanol in fuel, the mandate, is purely a crop subsidy? It's nothing more than that. Is that unfair?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's entirely. I mean, I'm not sure that's entirely true. It's well-intentioned government policy to clean the air. Many well-intentioned government policies miss the mark, unfortunately. And I think that in this particular case, I mean, let me take a poll here tonight. We believe in democracy, right? So we've spent a little bit of time talking about ethanol. I mean, how many people here think we ought to continue with the federal government policy of keeping ethanol in the gas line? How many people think we should continue it? Who thinks we should discontinue it?
It affects the food chain too, right? It affects the It just seems to me that we're saving energy and gasoline and cleaning up the environment, but you don't have the same BTU, so you wind up burning more gas to go from point A to point B. And the percentage of energy saving is so close that it's almost negligible. And my little Toyota Corolla, when I was riding on gasoline, I got 33 miles a gallon. Now I'm getting 28 at best. So, and I have an H&M, a K&M air filter on my car. I have All-Star spark plugs on my car, and that's all that I'm able to do to increase it as an amateur mechanic. But I mean, it's a waste. It's a waste of time. And I would ask that the federal government just get rid of it, because the hidden cost of a gallon of gas is in the subsidies that come out of the budget that go to buying the corn. That's a hidden cost.
Barbara, you got anything? You got anything?
No, you did it on the job. There's not a month that goes by that I'm not in church, at the grocery store, and at the drugstore. There's somebody who know their job. My job is cut down from full-time to part-time, and it's very sad. I send my husband to the grocery store. It's sad that there's not a month goes by at least 2 people that stop me and ask me. That's hard. These are my neighbors, you know.
Any other questions? Yes.
Can you help us understand what the effect that the sequestration is going to have on the military? Or is that even an issue?
Well, it is an issue. You know, we need to reduce spending in Washington. There's no doubt of that. We have a federal government that spends $3.7 trillion on revenue of $2.2 trillion. So you do the math on that. It's a very significant annual budget deficit, which requires the federal government to borrow 40 cents out of every dollar that it spends. And I've taken the position that there's room to obtain savings across the board, across all federal agencies, in defense, as well as in discretionary spending programs. And so we need to make sure that every dollar we send to Washington is wisely spent and well spent. That's our obligation to the taxpayer. That said, we also have an obligation to make sure that any reductions times than it's running right now, that any savings in the Department of Defense do not hinder our ability to defend our country and protect our national security. The scheduled defense cuts, I think, are right now too deep, and many of them need to be repaired and reversed. And there's a lot of work going on right now in the nation's capital to get that done.
You know, I have a follow-up question to that, though, because while you're saying it, and I agree, by the way, that there's work being done, but the fact that this whole thing is going to occur, perhaps, is because of the inability of Congress to deliver a budget or to try to was compromised. So it's wonderful to hear that they're working on trying to make adjustments to this so we don't fall off the crystal cliff in January. But if I were a betting man, and I'm not say that I am or I'm not, and I was hiring you to advise me to make a bet, would I be betting that we're going to drive a compromise and somehow or another avoid some frustration? Or from where I sit, that sounds great. I don't see that Congress is going to get their act together to make this compromise in the next 4 months. So delighted to have you tell me all that.
So your question is, will this be resolved by the year's end?
Yes.
I believe it will be, because it needs to be. And I was in Washington last summer, when some pretty difficult decisions were being made on Senate and the like. And unfortunately, what you saw play out was Congress making the decisions at the final moment. We were talking about earlier with businesses. One of the other things I heard from businesses around Bucks County is the government makes a decision at the last moment or the final moment. It takes away the businesswoman's ability to plan, for whether the expenses or tax rate changes. I was a county commissioner for 10 years. We adopted a budget every single year. We adopted it on time. We made sure that the budget was balanced. We made sure that ultimately, as we managed that budget, the revenues came in over budget and expenditures were under budget. So our fund balance grew every year, and we consequently had an increasing credit rating, which was good. That is good, efficient administration and management of a county organization. It could be a public organization, private business. It's just good, efficient management. That's the perspective I bring to Washington. As a former county commissioner, profession, or sort of practicing my profession representing small businesses. But I went from a board of 3, a county commission, to a body of 435. It's a lot more divided than I remember being, running a county government. And so there are many more opinions. The body is much more diverse. And the criticism I would have is that they should operate in Washington the way we operated on the county commission in Bucks County, the way we expect our governments to operate in Bucks County, which is, put your budget on the table, have a good budget discussion, adopt a budget that balances, and have a growing fund balance, not a growing national debt, and an increasing bond rating, not a decreasing credit rating. So, to answer your question, I think the federal government will work this out and it will be resolved, but it will be resolved, unfortunately, between November 7th and December 31st, which for a lot of companies, and we were talking about sequestration, affects a lot of contractors in Bucks County. It gives them an insufficient amount of time to plan for next year. Because they're planning out the last moment as to what, how to schedule expenditures, how many individuals to hire. Very difficult to operate, and I get that, I understand that, and I heard that because some of the businesses I visited were defense contractors in Bucks County. And so I understand it, I feel it, I'm going down, I'm arguing for the right decisions. But I'm being honest with you in terms of when I think it's going to happen. I think it will happen, but I think it will happen before the end of the year. Nate?
Campaign-wise, how can we help you?
Well, I think you do what you guys have always done, which is, talk to your friends and neighbors, wherever you find them, around the water cooler at work, the ball field on Saturdays, after church on Sunday. Talk to them about the importance of this election. Talk to them about what's at stake. Where we are as a country. This election is not about us so much as it is about our children and our grandchildren, what kind of a future we're going to leave them. Register voters as you always do. I know that many of you are knocking on doors. You're going door to door already. I've talked to Jenny about it. I know Paul is doing it. I know you're going out this weekend. I'm going to try to join you this weekend out of purpose. Do the things that you've always done. But go door to door, look your neighbors in the eye. Tell them why you're there. Tell them how important this is. And then we have, it's 41 days from today to get that job done. Make every day count, mate.
All right.
All right?
Thank you very much.
Very good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.